lose my temper. Your tears rinse my feet. I walk out, I'm able to carry your peace. It reminds me of a song that I heard long ago. Maybe I've always known that you were right there. A simple melody playing on
2, 1, and we are back. First time in a long time. We're here. Let's see if we still remember how to do this, man. Still can get everything up and running, operating. We've
Been a while.
figured it out. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
But it's good to be back. You know, we had a lot of germs running around in the organization, and so we were like, let's just chill for a little bit and sit home and let everybody get better, and then we'll jump back on. So this is our first one since the new year, right?
Yes, first one in 2022.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat already. I'm just going to say, you're watching Young Lion TV.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and stop fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
That's right. That intro never gets old, man. I always love hearing it. But yeah, you're watching Young Lion TV. So if you're in the room right now, shout out to George, Ariana. Shout out to I don't see any other names, but I see some other people watching. But leave a comment. Drop a comment in the thing. Say hello. You know, hit that like button for us. Please hit the share button. Share the video,
Share it, please.
That helps us more than anything because, you know, Facebook really doesn't give us any love with the algorithm and anything like that. And if you're on Twitch right now, shout out to the people on Twitch watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. We're trying to implement things to make our Twitch a little bit more interactive and more exciting. We've been talking to John about that because he's becoming our Twitch expert. So he's going to help us get that.
He smirks.
He's going to help us get that rolling. And YouTube is not working right now, but we'll get that. We'll upload it on there later. So shout out to all of you guys, and don't forget, if you want to support, for those that are avid fans that come and show up every week and watch us and listen to the conversation, join in, you should become a member and support this thing. So
George.
George.
Yeah, George.
Become a member. It helps this thing keep moving, man. It helps us keep growing and keep building this kingdom that we're trying to build. You know, the Young Lion thing, it's more than just a podcast. It's more than just a brand. It's like it's a whole kingdom that we're trying to establish, and a community that we're trying to establish where we all.
It's not our own kingdom.
Right, definitely. We're trying to bring a kingdom into establishment.
On earth as it is in heaven.
Right,
Yes.
Exactly. And the only way we can do that is if people support, you know. So if you go to our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/YoungLionTV, and you could become a member on there. And we got plenty of tiers that you could choose from if you want to check out any of those.
Look at that. It's not even expensive.
You know?
Let's see some of that manager money, George.
You know, George. Holla at me.
He said, Merry Christmas Kwanzaa with a side of Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
New Year's.
Happy New Year's, George. Also, don't forget that all of our music, all of our merch, and all of our like videos and stuff are on our website, Jatan.com. You can see it right there. And you can go on there if you want to, get a cool Jatan shirt. We're going to work on some Young Lion TV merch. Seriously, we got to get that done. Yes. We got to get that done. We got to get it, even if it's just like Young Lion merch.
Yeah.
Like
even Jatan merch.
Yeah, some new Jatan merch.
Yep.
Some stuff that's cool and has like, because there's a lot of our lyrics that we could just put on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? So I think stuff like that would be dope.
Darling would look Beautiful Eyes album.
Yeah.
That cover would look so awesome.
It would look dope on a T-shirt. I would love it. I would get all of them. But yeah, so I got Moan with me today.
What's up?
We got Stan with us today in the building. We got Jake with us today.
Hey, guys.
And we got Rachel and John working out and they're out of focus. How did that happen? Jake, fix that for me.
Maybe because I did it.
This John says yes. Okay, switch the shot, Jaja. It's about to get real weird.
Maybe just the aperture.
All right, cool. So while they're getting in focus, just want to say Happy New Year to everybody who's watching. Again, if you just tuned in, we haven't streamed yet this year because people were getting sick at the beginning of the year. You know that Omarion was running around crazy. That Omarion was
dancing all over
dancing
everybody.
all over the country, man. So and then we had some shows, we had some stuff going on. So we had to take a few weeks off. The funny thing about Omarion is that I can never not think of him being our celebrity coach on MTV.
Yeah.
First of all, he's this short.
That's the first thing. He's that short. And
It was.
the funniest was watching you, though. Watching Jake.
Jake can't hide his emotions.
Because Jake can't hide his face when he's just disgusted.
Oh, back then.
Right. It's still hard for us.
It's difficult.
I'm saying he groans.
Yeah.
I'm a little calmer, I'm a little
right.
like I don't let things get to me as much. But
It was hard though.
But yeah.
But
it's just hard when you got somebody telling you something that like makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. And it's like
It makes sense in his world.
It makes sense in his world.
Right,
And
right.
when from the way that he came up.
Yeah.
And then now even knowing more about the backstory and all that craziness that was going on in that camp. Woo. But it makes sense here, like him having that perspective on what we should do. You know what I mean? With the whole like you got to patch your braids.
You got braids.
To patch. You got your he's saying this Moan and Jake because they had braids at the time. Yeah, when you come out there, you just got to patch
He did
your
a spin and
braids.
everything.
Yeah, and then he
You
do the
spin.
dance moves. See, you got to patch your braids, and then you go to the front, and then you just go, like I'm here.
So when we think of Omicron, we think of Omarion.
Right. And when we think of Omarion, we
In
just
that
think
way.
of him in that
That's
setting.
probably why I thought that TikTok that I saw was so. I almost cried like when I saw it.
Laughing?
It was the girl was like, you tested positive for Omicron, and the dude was like, Psh, I got that Omarion. and then
There was a whole trend of that.
Yeah, the next scene was him dancing by the pool. I got this ice box with my heart. I was done.
Yo, Omarion had to go on TikTok and be like, it's not. My
He
name is
wanted
not
to.
a virus.
Yeah.
First of all,
I feel like he did that on purpose because it was the only time people were actually talking about him again.
Come on,
He
man.
loved every second of this.
He didn't have to. He made it look like he had to.
Right. Mom
was
said,
funny,
"Love you all so much. Love you too, Mom."
Love you.
George says, "Stop playing like I don't supply the emotional support." LOL. Emma, what's up, Emma? Shout out to Emma. He said, "Hello, guys." Ariana said she shared. Thank you, Ariana.
Brother Dave is watching.
Brother Dave, what's up? But I can't not think of that experience with Omarion in that small rehearsal space.
Yeah.
And then, but the funniest thing was while he's doing that, I kept looking at Jake's face, and he's just like, we got to listen to this dude for like a half hour, give us instructions
The whole
on how
time,
to
I'm just thinking like, it's almost over.
Yeah, so
Like,
just let it be
almost
over.
over,
Just let it be over. Because it was even on like every week they were bringing a new celebrity judge, and the whole thing about it was pretty pointless. It was just for the hype of the show, so they could get camera footage of a celebrity coming in.
Right.
You know what I mean, as a draw, because they really it was like you perform in front of them in a dance rehearsal space, and then they give you pointers.
Yeah.
But it was like.
It was only like 10 minutes.
10
right?
minutes,
Yeah.
You know, it was really just for show.
Yeah, and the other funny part about it was like I'm not that tall,
Right,
I'm 5'10", 5'11" at most, and this dude's looking up to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that made it so much more funny
he's
is
so
how
little.
short he
Yeah.
is. He's just looking.
And I'm even shorter.
We all
And
look-
he's like this to me.
And we're all looking down at this dude like, really, bro? Like, and he like, but he was really doing all the dance moves. Like, he couldn't stop. Like, when he was giving us instructions, he was hitting all the spins and all the dance moves, popping.
He's in his element, man.
Yeah, bro. And the cameras were on too, so he had to. But it was hilarious. But yeah, so that was why we took a little break. But we're back, and we're gonna keep doing the same thing we've been doing. We got some great.
We didn't have the Omarion though.
No, we didn't have the Omarion. We didn't get the Omarion. It was just a little bit of colds going around.
Right.
But some of us in the camp got the Omarion.
Which is what Omarion is.
Right, when you really boil it down to
Wait,
it.
who?
I'm not going to say on here. I don't know if they want their business out there, but we just had to replace them on a gig. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole thing.
Okay.
His name
I thought you meant
his name
in this
is
camp. Right? I thought you meant in this camp.
No, I meant in our organization.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Yeah.
We don't know. I didn't get tested.
And your test can't tell the difference anyway. So.
Right.
Rapid test. Rapid.
Anyway, but also in the beginning of January, I decided, I felt I was being led to just take a break from social media. So totally like cut off going on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff, and doing any kind of scrolling or whatever. So anything I've seen has been stuff y'all send me.
Yes, which
Go
leads
ahead.
me to say
I was setting this up.
that today I called Jamie. I'm like, yo, you're taking a break from social media. Do I need to research anything? And I'm trying to find stuff. I'm like, I text him like, bro, mad respect, dude. Like this stuff is harder to find stuff than it looks. So hats off.
I appreciate that. But that being said, that Moan did his thing, stepped up today, and provided all the content that we're gonna, he provided the Uncle Joe situation and some Fauci COVID news and a bunch of other clips that we're gonna go through. And I had a couple
He's
things.
still not in jail?
bro. Listen.
He is protected.
What was the hashtag you were going through? It was like expose Fauci or something.
It's still trending.
Yeah, it's trending on Twitter.
And what else is trending?
Bear shelf Biden.
shelf Biden.
Yeah, people
Still
yeah, I didn't even use any of those, but it's like people showing videos
Taking
and
pictures
pictures of empty shelves.
And it's true. I was just at Walmart. Like you can't find anything.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
And if you can find it, it's expensive.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if we got any comments real quick. Nope. Okay. All right, so first thing is what's new with Uncle Joe, MLK edition. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. This
I've
gone
seen nothing.
completely viral. Rachel sent it to me the other day. But this is Joe Biden's MLK talking point here. Because, MLK Day was yesterday.
Yes.
So let's just take a little listen.
But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George.
Sounds low. Do y'all hear it?
I heard it, but
You hear it clear?
Yeah, it's low.
turn up the low.
But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did. But even Dr. King's
hear it?
assassination did not have the worldwide impact
Why does it sound so low?
that George Floyd's
Sounds
death
fine to you?
But even Dr. King's
There we go.
assassination
There we go.
did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
Yeah.
Did you make out what he said?
Did you go there?
Yeah.
Did you go there? What?
Yeah.
What did George Floyd do?
Right.
Like, not taking away of what happened to him.
Right.
It's
How-
sad. Yeah.
The murder that.
Come on, man.
You're talking
guy
about the
was convicted.
impact that had? Like, yo, the stuff that MLK did totally changed the entire world
Yeah.
Yeah.
as far as race relations. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So this happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the media saying?
I have no idea because I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, I
I
haven't
don't
heard.
know, yeah.
I haven't heard anything
That they covered
But
up for
Can
him,
you
how
just
they covered up
imagine?
for him.
I like to say this. Can you just imagine if Trump said that?
Oh my God. Well, I know for Biden, their tactic is usually just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and if we have to talk about it, we'll spin it a certain way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
And
haven't
he
heard
doesn't get
anything.
pressured much. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Like no
Yeah.
one. Well, he's not allowed to answer any questions. As soon as he's done these little things, they rush him out of there. You seen the clip I played at, I think it was the last podcast, where right after he got done, he was trying to take a question, and his staff was all like, all right,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, he
We're
always does
leaving."
that.
They all
He
start
tries to
ye-
sneak one in there.
Yeah, and they start yelling. It's like, damn, this is like, you can't let a president answer a question.
He's the president.
Yeah, that's insulting, bro. Like,
Yeah,
just who, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King was and what he did and what he stood for. I mean, like Jake said, that's sad what happened to George Floyd.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely, and it's
but
tragic.
this dude,
And the dude got convicted. So.
yeah, but you know, George Floyd, had a history, a rap sheet that
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
He was not the same type
he's
of
not
dude
the
as
same
Martin
type
Luther
of
King.
character.
Even before that, it's like, why would you bring that up when we're celebrating Martin Luther
Like,
King?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, that has nothing to do with Martin
Right.
Luther King. Why are you bringing it back to that?
And it's almost weird
Yeah.
how much they're trying to push George
So
Floyd
it's like
on
this
people.
divisiveness
Yeah.
that they have to keep
Building
pushing.
statues and memorials and all kind
Yeah.
of things like that's weird. All right, so moving on. Bones sent me this other meme, which I had seen other ones like this before, but it's pretty funny. This was back in 2020 when Biden was still trying to run. He said 220,000 deaths. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who is responsible for that many deaths should not remain president of the United States. And let's move to 2021, about a year later. Justin.
22.
No, it's 2021.
Oh, my bad.
Justin, U.S. COVID deaths tolls top 800,000.
I don't think he sticking to those rules.
Yeah.
And that's what we deal with.
Yeah.
And even that, like, we know that they not telling you the right numbers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even both of those numbers are conflated.
Yeah.
So
Inflated.
I
Well-
said it the backwards way.
Yeah.
Yes, inflated. And that's the issue. But they use that when they can.
Right.
And that's a shame.
That, like, you just saying that reminded me. I think I heard Tim Pool say on one of the podcasts, I forgot which one I was watching, that CNN wrote an article or they reported on they're agreeing to saying that the numbers are inflated. They don't know what's somebody who died of COVID or somebody who died
I actually
With
have that
COVID.
clip right here.
with
It's
COVID.
funny. I actually have that clip right here. So I'll play it right now. This is Sanjay Gupta talking to Jake Tapper. And, like, finally, I don't even know when this aired,
I think
but
it
it
was
posted on
recently.
Twitter January 10th, 2022. So that's last week.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So the hospitals are still stretched thin because of this, so I'm not trying to take away from that. But if 40% in some hospitals, 40% of the people who have COVID don't necessarily have problematic COVID. They're there because they got in a car accident. They're there because
Right.
They bumped their head, and they're being included as in the hospital with COVID. That number seems kind of misleading.
Yeah, I agree, Jake. It surprises me that they have not been able to parse out that data more carefully. I think the data that Dr. Walensky is quoting is from New York State, and we've been following that data as well. And I can show you what we've seen, sort of tracks with what she said. But out of all the patients that are in the hospital, about 57%, these are COVID patients, admitted because of or complications from COVID, 43% admitted for other reasons and then diagnosed with COVID. I think, there needs to be transparency about that in terms of for or with COVID. The only thing I will tell you, Jake, again, working in the hospital, is that at the time someone is then diagnosed with COVID, even if they didn't come in for that reason, it does take up a lot of resources then in terms of infection protocols, personal protective equipment, more testing, all that kind of stuff.
but that has nothing to do with using the numbers to push agendas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. If they come in and then they test COVID, you got to isolate them now. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they're just using it to push numbers, to push certain agendas.
Or we talked about this a long time ago, how if they are listed with COVID hospitals, because
They're
know,
incentivized.
We know, some insiders
Yeah.
who work in hospitals, they kind of, they get money for
Right.
every person that they list as a COVID patient.
Right.
So if you're incentivizing hospitals, with money, what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, how long have we been talking about this?
Yeah.
And now it's like, now CNN
Yeah.
wants
Now,
to.
now you're a journalist.
Now you want to. Well, something's not right here. You know what I mean? These numbers sound a little misleading. But it's after they needed the numbers to push a certain agenda, especially back in 2020 when they needed the election to go a certain way. They needed those numbers to keep. They had a ticker on the friggin' TV every day going up.
Keep the fear high.
Yeah. And you see it even to today. Like, you see people like, oh, Omicron, and then everybody just in fear, you know? And it gets people anxious. It gets people start fighting with one another for dumb little things, We see it in the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. You see people getting mad at each other. So let's move. Speaking of COVID, we'll stay on track with that, and let's go to Mr. Liar himself, the one that pretty much
of lies.
the one that pretty much created this problem, but now wants to try to cover it up.
You mean actually created it?
That's what I'm saying.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm just,
Fans are all up in it.
I'm just clarifying what you said.
Yeah. So Moan sent me this.
Now, the reason we are here today in this room with H5N1, highly pathogenic influenza, and we're not in this room discussing so many of the other gain.
So this is from years ago, talking about H5N1, which was a different type of virus that was going around.
Was that bird flu at the time?
I think it was swine flu.
H1N1.
I think it was swine flu.
H1N1
H1N1 was swine
was
flu.
swine flu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so he's talking about the studies that they're doing, and this is from years ago, by the way.
Of function research that we do.
I'll start it over.
The reason we are here today in this room with H5N1, highly pathogenic influenza, and we're not in this room discussing so many of the other gain of function research that we do.
NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain of function research.
There were studies.
Wait a
The
minute.
reason
Let's
we
hear
are
that
here
again.
today in this room with H5N1, highly pathogenic influenza, and we're not in this room discussing so many of the other gain of function research that we do.
NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain of function research.
You know why?
There were
Straight up
studies
lying.
done by two NIH.
What were you about to say?
I was going to say, see, from there was the real gain of function definition.
Right.
The other Fauci, he changed.
He changed the
Yeah.
definition
So
of
he's
gain of
not gain
function,
of
so
function
now it's
anymore. Now
technically not. Right.
And I don't know if it's in this clip, but he does say that. He does say that about the language or something like that.
I don't know if it's in this clip, but I remember that when he was talking to Rand Paul.
Rand Paul.
Yeah,
if you go by the you know, the language.
but you changed the language
changed
It's
the
like,
so
well,
that it
who
would
writes
fit.
that?
Yeah,
You do.
right.
But
You
isn't
changed the
that
language.
what this world does? Like,
Especially,
it just continues to change the meaning, change the language,
to cover
so
up?
you can cover
so
up.
it fits the agenda.
Right. So you can never get them. They can never be exposed.
Yeah. Any comments?
It's like the Clinton. What does
Mom just says as soon as Go Brandon is done, he walks away like a robot.
Yeah. He tries to answer questions sometimes, but they don't let him. He even said, I remember one clip I saw, he was like, they're going to get mad at me for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble.
like,
who's going to get you
you
in
are
trouble?
everyone's boss right now. What are you talking about?
There were studies done by two NIH, NIAID funded investigators, Ryan Fouché and Yoshi Kawaoka, in which H5N1, a strain from Indonesia and a strain from Vietnam, were altered in a gain of function.
I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain of function
Categorically.
research.
And integral to that study has always been the issue of gain of function research, not only for influenza, but essentially for all infectious diseases research. Now, there are a few ways to look at gain of function research.
I don't know how many times I can say it, Madam Chair. We did not fund gain of function research.
Yeah. I mean, that sums up a lot right there. You know what I mean? Like, just the lying and the back and forth.
Rand should just play that when he's talking to him next time. Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Should just play
Well,
that.
I think Rand got vindicated last week, right? When them documents leaked. I haven't seen any of this. I've just been hearing, but them documents leaked that pretty much, exposed all of it.
Yeah. In 2018.
Yeah, government files.
Yeah.
Official.
Yeah.
Official government files.
They were DARPA
yeah.
documents, yeah.
Because they were trying to get Fauci was trying to get funding from DARPA,
right?
And they said no
to do it in the United States,
dangerous,
and they said it was too dangerous.
Yeah,
because
what
something
do you do?
like this could happen.
Yeah.
Two years later.
What do you
damn
do?
Near 2 years
you go
later.
to China.
Yeah, you go to China.
Well, they already had it going on. They were just trying to get the money, more money.
Yeah. But what else happened in 2020 that DARPA put out that they knew back in April of 2020?
Oh yeah, that came out in the documents too. They knew that hydroxychloroquine was an effective treatment. They knew that ivermectin was an effective.
There was
treatment.
a bunch of other ones too.
Yeah. A lot of these. I mean, the monoclonal antibodies. It's to the point now where. Did you see the clip with Dana White when he was talking about monoclonal antibodies? How he can't he used them when he got sick and back in near Christmas, and he said now people can't get them.
Yeah, because the government stockpiled them.
Yeah,
and that was when he found out Florida was using so much of it and it was working.
Yeah.
So do they really care about the American people, guys,
or care about your health?
Yeah.
I think Fauci mentioned one time that he takes vitamin D. Other than that, you need to get vaxxed.
Yeah.
That's
all it is.
That's the answer.
And that's what you really got to question. Like, so then why are they pushing this one thing so hard? I think this is a clip about the military documents.
Senator, with all due respect, I disagree with so many of the things that you've said. You're still unwilling to admit that they gained in function. They gained in lethality. According to the definition that is currently operable, we're not going to get anywhere close to trying to prevent another lab leak of this dangerous sort of experiment. You won't admit that it's dangerous, and for that lack of judgment, I think it's time that you resign.
He needs to go to jail.
Yeah,
he does.
Legit.
Project Veritas has obtained never-before-seen military documents regarding the origins of COVID-19, gain-of-function research, vaccines, potential treatments which have been suppressed, and the government's effort to conceal all of this. Dr. Anthony Fauci has testified many times before Congress stating that the U.S. government was never involved in gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Will you today finally take some responsibility for funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator, with all due respect, I disagree with so many of the things that you've said. First of all, gain of function is a very nebulous term.
But the thing is you're still unwilling to admit that they gained in function when they say they became sicker. They gained in lethality. It's a new virus. That's not gain of function?
According to the definition that is currently operable,
we're not going to get anywhere close to trying to prevent another lab leak of this dangerous sort of experiment. You won't admit that it's dangerous, and for that lack of judgment, I think it's time that you resign.
you have said that I am unwilling to take any responsibility for the current pandemic. I have no responsibility for the current pandemic.
That assertion is based on the NIH's definition of gain of function. However, the documents we've obtained refute that. The documents in question stem from a report at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as DARPA, which were hidden in a top-secret share drive. But what is DARPA? They are an agency under the U.S. Department of Defense, which facilitates research and technology with potential military applications. Dr. Stephen Walker was the director of DARPA at the time of the EcoHealth Alliance proposal. A source sent us this video of Dr. Walker talking about research they were exploring related to mRNA technology and its potential application with military personnel in the field.
DARPA, about 5 or 6 years ago, we stood up an office called the Biotechnology Office, and the real purpose of that was to understand how biology worked and then design, build, and test cycles where you could engineer microorganisms to do things that you want to do.
Though the main report regarding the EcoHealth Alliance proposal leaked on the internet a couple of months ago, it has remained unverified until now. Project Veritas has obtained a separate report to the Inspector General of the Department of Defense, written by the U.S. Marine Corps Major Joseph Murphy, a former DARPA fellow. Major Murphy makes claims in his report to the Inspector General that, if true, could be damning to the official narrative that has been played out to the world over the past 2 years. Major Murphy's report states that EcoHealth Alliance approached DARPA in March 2018, seeking funding to conduct gain-of-function research of bat-borne coronaviruses. The proposal was named Project
Sounds familiar.
Diffuse. DARPA rejected the proposal because the work was too dangerous and could violate the gain-of-function moratorium, despite EcoHealth's position that it would not. According to the documents, the NIAID, under the direction of Dr. Fauci, did not reject the proposal. They went ahead with the research at Wuhan and several sites across the U.S. Dr. Fauci has repeatedly maintained his position, under oath, that the NIH and NIAID have not been involved in gain-of-function research with the EcoHealth Alliance program. This appears to be contradictory to Major Murphy's analysis and the rejection from the Biological Technologies Office at DARPA. Major Murphy's report goes on to detail great concern over the COVID-19 gain-of-function program, the concealment of documents, the suppression of potential curatives like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and the mRNA vaccines. To be clear, Major Murphy is not the source of our reporting. As far as we're aware, he has done nothing that violates his oath of service to our country. We were able to track him down, and though he couldn't go into detail about the hidden documents, he did offer this heartfelt statement.
I offer no comment on the investigation or internal Marine Corps deliberations. I offer a brief comment to those that desire answers and to those that withhold them. To those seeking answers, I offer encouragement. There are good people striving for the truth, working together in and out of government, and they succeed. To those that withhold, I pray for you. Find the moral courage to come forward. Don't let a lie be our legacy to posterity. People will forgive. A commitment to truth is in the heart of this nation. Semper Fi.
Project Veritas.
That says a lot right there.
Yeah, it
His
does.
statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
That says a lot right there. We don't need to watch the whole video. You guys get the point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's
And-
still active too.
Yeah, he is. He is.
And I think, that's the point. Like, the covering up, changing everything. I mean, to a certain extent, like, certain things you gotta be accountable for,
Right.
and you might have to go to jail because you're breaking the law.
Right.
But a lot of people who are just caught in it, I saw this the other day. A guy got kicked off the airlines for taking a sip and then keeping his mask down as he's still drinking. Not even what Jordan was doing.
Right, right.
But like literally just like drinking, doing this. So they're like, no, you have to put it up in between every sip.
Right.
Which is not true.
Right.
And they kicked him off, and then he's like, really, this is unbelievable. And he said, we're just doing our job. It's not our fault, but it is, because where's the accountability? And that's the issue. There's a breakdown in accountability. And that's why we have the issues like with Hitler. We hear it all the time. Like, people were just compliant. And they gave themselves over to something because they felt like they were powerless. And that becomes selfish.
Right. And they don't want to lose their position or their lifestyle or whatever it is. So they just go along with whatever they're told to do.
Right. And that's the difference. Like, between every other, I believe, every other religion, right? The whole point of what God does is he teaches us how to lay down our life for others, right? Because when justice is not seen, things go crazy.
Yeah.
And it creates a darkness,
Yeah.
you know, in the land.
If everyone is always out for self, chaos ensues. It's inevitable.
Right. So those who lay down their lives for others, that's like one of the greatest sacrifices. And Jesus did that. So we do that in his image. That's his character, right? In his name, right? That's character. Name is character, right? Who he is. His name is who he is. And then that transfers into what's going on in government, what's going on in all different education, you know, all these different places. People are afraid to talk. People are afraid, you know, cops, flight attendants.
Yeah.
People are afraid. But if you're a Christian and you really are a Christian,
right.
like you really have faith, you're going to go to the end with your faith and you're going to trust God in it, right?
I think that's one of the major problems with Christianity today. And I saw a clip of Joe Rogan talking to Jim Gaffigan. I saw it on Ruslan was talking about it, where he actually was going into, because I guess he watched some documentary on Martin Luther and how Lutheranism started and all of that, and it like blew his mind, right?
Yeah.
So then he was talking about that and talking about Christianity and tenets of Christianity and how like it's actually really good, you know.
Yeah, I got that clip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Well,
that
a part of.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what they went into was like that when you look at Christians, because they're not Christians, but when they know Christians and they're like, they don't live like they don't really live out what they say they believe in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because we don't really believe it.
Right.
You know? We don't really believe it. Because
Right.
even like, I'm going to put myself in there.
Right.
But through faith, we grow stronger and stronger in our belief in him, you know? And he tests us through it. Like, people think that blessings is, you know, because you're successful, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, you know? Not necessarily. So, again, the waters get muddied. You don't know what's up and what's down. And this is the issue, because people aren't laying their life down.
Right.
You know?
Right. George said, I'd say people will get prosecuted. Hold on. I see people will get prosecuted for all of this, but most likely they'll end up mysteriously deceased. Yeah. That's what they do nowadays, right? They don't. Well, in China, it's even worse, man. You see all the people that just disappear anytime they say anything. Coming out again. The one tech billionaire dude, they still don't know where he is. The one tennis player, no one knows where she is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, they just gone. All right, so
and then they tweet like, "I am fine. Do
Yes.
not look for me. I am very happy."
Yes. Then a tweet comes out 2 weeks later of like, "I am doing well. Do not look for me. Everything is a-okay.
The government is wonderful.
Yeah, right.
I love them.
I love China. China is best.
China, not asshole.
China, not asshole."
Did you see the clip of the Golden State Warriors co-owner?
No.
He was talking about the Uyghurs and how he's like, I don't care about them. You know,
What?
overall, that of the things I have to think about, that's not one of them.
Wow.
And he's just okay with saying it.
Exactly. Because to him, it's more about, well, I'm making money over there. So
Yeah.
Well, who's that, Stan? Just for those
The
who
Golden
don't.
State Warrior.
he's a
I'm
basketball team.
No,
basketball.
Oh, the
NBA.
Uyghurs. The Uyghurs.
yes.
Yeah.
Who's
yeah.
that? So people know.
Group of people in China that's
They're Muslims.
They're Muslim. pretty
They're
much.
Muslims, and you're not allowed to be Muslim in China.
Yeah.
And so they're being rounded up and put in
Genocide.
concentration camps.
Yeah.
They're being killed. They're being tortured. All kinds of stuff.
and
is
it's
going
proven that it's happening. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but the silence on it. Is,
no news will cover it.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
a few, you know,
on. Yeah.
right wing.
Yeah.
there's proof that drones flying
Oh, yeah.
over with them on their knees with
Yeah.
their hands behind their head,
Loading on trains.
loading on trains.
No, this is
What's that sound like?
This is known. This is known
Yeah.
that they're doing this in China.
But
You
the
know?
NBA is okay with
Jewish genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hollywood's okay with film.
Yeah.
Mulan was filmed right in one of the areas where they built the Uyghurs were used to build it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They thanked that.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
In the
what do they call
credits.
that?
In the
Estate,
credits,
Yeah, yeah.
Call it.
Yeah. So it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Man.
Let me try to find it.
Yeah. See if you can find it. In the meantime, I'm gonna show this other clip from Lord Fauci, the Sith Lord Fauci.
There's no doubt that you do want to get people out into the workplace if they are without symptoms. And in the second half of a 10-day period, which would normally be a 10-day isolation period, the likelihood of transmissibility is considerably lower in that second half of a 10-day period. And for that reason, the CDC made the judgment that it would be relatively low risk to get people out.
Oh, you mean after the airlines contacted them and said we need to get people back to work in 5 days and not 10 days?
Yep.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden the science says that 5 days is enough time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I remember
he's science.
Yeah,
You know,
he is science, right? I got a letter from my kid's school that said if the kids are vaccinated and they test positive for COVID, they can still come to school. Yeah,
even though they can spread it.
Yeah,
the same way.
It makes no sense.
I was like,
whatsoever.
what?
Yeah, makes
how does
no
it like
sense
yo?
whatsoever.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing.
They keep just changing
Yeah.
whatever.
Keep changing the goalposts.
Yeah. Like people are going back to work now, still testing positive. They're still
Yeah.
positive, and then they go back to work.
And that's the bro, we expect the enemy to play fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what it's about. Like he's not gonna play fair.
Nope.
It's not fair that they're doing this. You know, it's not fair. They keep cheating.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they do. You know, that's what they do. And I'm not saying government,
Right.
Because that's not what government does, right? That's the people who are in government,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
do it.
Definitely.
Because let's not brush a whole
Paint a broad
entity
brush.
over one thing.
Right.
You know, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like there are people who are fighting in our government.
That's what that letter from that Marine said, right? He said there's people that are fighting for this, you know.
Yeah.
You send it to me, Stan?
Yeah.
Rand Paul, man.
Okay. Okay, cool. That's perfect.
It's gonna be easier.
All right, got it right here.
Nobody cares about. Nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. Okay, you bring it up because you really care, and I think that's nice that you care. Nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. Okay, you bring it up because you really care, and I think that's nice that you care. The rest of us don't care. I'm just telling you a very hard.
Wait, you're saying you personally don't care?
I'm telling you a very hard, ugly truth. Okay, of all the things that I care about, yes, it is below my line. Okay, of all the things that I care about, it is below my line.
Disappointing.
Yo, that's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
That's disgusting, man.
Man.
What if someone told him? I'm assuming
You
he's.
booked a
I'm assuming he's from.
Sunny chalet.
I'm assuming he's from India. It could be from Pakistan. But I was like, what if someone told him like, no one cares about the farmers, dude. Like, no one cares. You know, like that's just crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
People are just out for self, man. Greed is
they don't
at
care
an
until
all-time
they
high.
gotta care.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so moving on. Moan sent me this pretty interesting article about the fertility rates. We had already been talking about how they've been going down, but they're constantly going down. So this is an article from BBC News: fertility rate, jaw-dropping global crash in children being born.
That baby is cute, by the way.
Yeah, that is a cute baby.
Adorable.
Look at all that hair. But yeah, so women are having fewer children, and the projections for like, I don't know how they come up with this, but for 2050 into 2100 is like less than 2 kids. You know what I mean? So people,
what they're doing working.
But you know what that means? Like, just think about simple math. Like, having less than 2 kids doesn't replace you in the population. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you and your spouse, it doesn't replace you. So
Right.
you are now decreasing the overall population of the world, which, when you think about everything that's been going on, when you think about all of the stuff that we've been showing over the past,
that what your boy said, right?
that's what I'm saying. So to them, this is a win.
Yeah.
To them, this is a win. When you look at the TED Talk by Bill Gates, you know, for what we got to do to get carbon emissions down and the lower the population.
Yeah.
This is a win.
And then T levels for, we just talked about this. T levels for men is way lower than
Way lower.
it was.
Astronomically lower. Like in a scary way.
Yeah.
I saw some. I should have sent it, but it was a funny video, and it was just this guy walking through a hall, and he kept like getting hit by. He kept hitting himself like on the door.
Yeah.
So but it said like 70s, 80s, 90s, and then 2000s, right? And it was at each generation. So 70s guy hits the door, and he's like, looking at the door like, really? And then the 80s guy hits the door, he's like, 90s guy, he's like, the 2000s guy falls on the ground. And that's where we the testosterone.
It's like, but you're not allowed to be a man like that anymore, right? Like,
that's funny.
That's frowned upon, man. That's funny. And then I saw this. I think you sent this too. This is from NPR. Along the same lines. U.S. birth rate fell by 4% in 2020, hitting another record low. So this is 2020. So I'm sure it's even lower now. Which is scary, man. It's scary.
And
like
they
people,
don't know the long-term effects.
Well, in the articles, if you read them, they were saying that one of the major causes is, and I've had so many conversations with this, especially with James, like just talking about how they incentivize women to not have a family, focus on your career, focus on getting an executive position. So you spend all your childbearing years going to school, working, trying to move up the ladder. And then when you're in your mid-30s, now you're thinking about a family. Yeah. So how many kids can you actually have at that point? Maybe 1, 2 if you're really lucky. You know what I'm saying? So you see that's and in the article it lays out that that's one of the major issues is that women are focusing more on career. And then like all the things that we watch, Sex and the City, Love and Hip Hop, all these shows that a lot of women and men are obsessed with, teach them to desire a lifestyle that's more like free from kids. I've seen so many movies in like, especially in like the early 2000s into like the mid 2010s, where it's like all they do is bash having kids. And it's more about like having fun as adults, not having the burden of kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when there's a lot of people who go to the city like to live. Like not people in the inner city that are like came out of the city.
No.
I'm talking about the gentrified areas.
Right.
You know
the people that migrate there to live the city lifestyle and think that it's going to be.
And they don't want to have kids.
Yeah. So they want to get a dog and they want to just live their life and.
They do make the stay-at-home mom taking care of all the kids like it's a negative thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, feminism has totally trashed that way of life. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy that we're going. I think we need a huge shift in that way of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reset that you need, not the one that they want to do.
Yeah, a different type of reset.
Think about what it says in the Bible, like,
dude, the first
wives submit to your husband.
I'm thinking about the first thing that God ever said to humans: "Be fruitful and multiply."
Right?
Like,
I just meant from a woman's standpoint. Wives submit to your husband.
Yeah.
That flies.
A lot of people got a problem with that, right? But
they like to skip over that one in church.
But again, it's like these things have to be understood from a spiritual perspective, or
Right.
else it becomes a bondage.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, for sure. Donnie Estrada, what does that emoji mean? What's up, Donnie? We see you still ain't support with no Cash App or Patreon. Hey, Jonathan, did you post that link to the rendezvous? Oh, you sent it to me? Guys, we're gonna post a link up in the chat, and if you click on it, you can come in on the conversation. We'll remote you in.
Donnie,
kind of like a Skype.
You're not allowed until you send us money.
No, Donnie could chime in.
I'm playing.
So that way he can't just hide behind text messages. Let's talk about it.
What did he do? Did he say
Bring
something?
it, bring it. No, he just sent a couple of emojis. I don't know what that means. Let me post the link up. All right, so this link that I'm posting right now in the chat, guys. If anyone who wants to jump on and even if you just want to come on and say hi to us, you can just click on it, jump on. John will put you in the green room, and then we'll bring you in, and hopefully everything technically works right. Should. So there's the link.
He said it's my way of saying hello.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, but
Will it
the
work
first
on the phone?
first commandment God gave to every human was be fruitful and multiply. You know, so I don't think it was like be fruitful and multiply unless too many people are born. Then stop having babies. Like,
yeah. Even with us, like I know, like I can always look at myself.
Yeah.
Right? I got the snip, right? And I regret it.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah. Like,
wow, this is breaking news.
It is.
I didn't know about that.
I regret it because it's like, bro, I got more kids than all y'all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It is a lot.
You know, it's
It
a
is.
lot dealing with kids, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like it's a lot because the diapers, like especially at that younger age,
Yeah.
like the first 3 years,
Mhm.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I love it, man. And
Right, and once you get through that, it's like, oh, it's not a lot anymore, and then it's so
Yeah.
rewarding. Plus, you can make them do everything.
Yeah, but even like, yeah, but even in terms of, I'm definitely having my kids do more now.
Yeah, right.
But on the like that, man, like you can't do a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you are
Yeah.
stuck like
Yeah.
doing this, doing that, and now like I got kids in school, kids in soccer, like
Yeah.
you know, it just becomes so much.
Yeah.
So,
But
but
you can't. You also can't get pulled into that either, because those are the
Right.
things that all the movies and all of the propaganda towards not having kids focus in
Right,
on.
right.
Is the soccer mom who's going to practice and going to ballet and going to art school and and it's like you're just overwhelmed with things because
Yeah.
you have totally centered your life around everything your kids need to do.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
And even like with me, like, you know, they asked me for my son to play a bunch of things, and I said,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because
Right.
it's too much.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Yeah.
They need breaks. So yeah, you need a balance, but even all that stuff, I'm saying, like, instead of like me taking it into because I ain't asked God for it. You know, I just like, okay, makes sense. My wife wanted to do it. I'm like, I'll do it because it's easier.
Yeah.
She was still going through, you know, pain at the time.
Mhm.
So, but, you know, thinking back, like we talk about it all the time. Like we would love to have another kid, you know, and I got 4, but.
Well, you can reverse it.
I know, but that costs a lot of money.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
So they'll snip it for cheapo. But you want to reverse it. That's when you got to come
expensive.
back, baby.
Yes. yes. So that's what makes it hard, like to bring it back. But yeah, man, like just to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
On here, like, you know, we make mistakes, and I don't believe that I should have took that into my own hands. Like I believe that. Live by faith. I'm now, like I'm learning that. I'm learning how to let go of a lot of things
Right.
I felt like I had to do, or I felt like I didn't have faith for,
Yeah.
you know. But through this, God teaches you, like, I gotta be your everything.
Yeah.
You know? I gotta
Yeah,
be
man.
your everything.
That's the hardest part about it. And I think we were all the things that we're talking about and all of the trappings that we'd say the people are caught up in, these are all things that we were in. We were
Right.
a victim to all of this. Like, I
Right.
know for me, the reason why I only have 2 is because I did the same thing. I felt like, no, I gotta focus on what we doing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't have no. You know, I was mad at y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I don't want to mess this up. You know, and not understanding or not thinking that, like, no, you don't. That's not how you
getting in the way.
Yeah,
I knew, like, when I made a decision to have my daughter. I wasn't an accident.
Right.
My second one was.
Right.
Third. but when we got married, it's like, we're gonna have kids.
Right.
Because I'm not waiting for anything anymore. I'm not. That's too much.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the wrong move.
You're thinking.
You're waiting for some perfect scenario that's never gonna come.
Right.
Yeah.
And I realized that, you know, and you know, God breaks you out of these things that you've been doing. The focus you were on, that it's like, I'm not in that.
Right.
You know. So it takes time. Donnie said, he said, what, really? He said, not me. I'm glad I got it. He's talking about the vasectomy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best move.
Does he have my life? Does he have kids?
Yeah, he's got 3.
3?
Yeah.
Well, see, maybe you just
3
ain't,
girls.
Maybe you just ain't on Jake's level yet, bro. You know that.
Hey, man, I didn't say that.
I want more soon.
Yeah, man. You gotta find the one.
Not
you
too
gotta
soon.
find the one.
Not too soon.
Not too soon, buddy boy. Buddy boy. But that's the beautiful thing about, you know, don't be offend women. But that's the beautiful thing about being a man, is that
we're good forever.
Yeah, like you don't have that cutoff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like you can find a little young thing.
Long as your swimmers can make it.
Yeah,
that's the only other thing.
Yeah, you just gotta stop, eating the wrong stuff. Stop wearing them Speedos, bro. Gotta stop doing that.
I did not wear no Speedos.
All right, let's keep it moving, bro. So the other thing that just happened while we were on break was the anniversary of Epic Day, a tragic, horrible, horrible day.
Y'all
on
lose
the
ears,
a
or
blot.
is it just me?
No, I have ears.
Yeah.
Did you lose? Did your battery die?
Yeah.
There's another pack over there. Oh, underneath the mixer.
Okay.
So there was a huge blot on a stain, if you will, on the white robes that the U.S. has worn since 1776. The worst thing, well, I would say since when was the Civil War?
The Civil War?
Yeah.
1863?
Yeah. So, you know, the worst thing that's happened since that is the year anniversary just passed on us. And someone made a TikTok that was interesting. We've played these type of compilations on here before where the news media is clearly a controlled.
Since the deadly attack on our nation's capital. Marking 1 year since the deadly attack on our nation's capital.
Marking 1 year since the deadly attack on our nation's capital.
Marking 1 year since the deadly attack on our nation's capital.
Marking 1
year since the
deadly attack
on our nation's capital. Marking 1 year since the deadly attack on our
nation's capital.
A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol. A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol.
A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol.
A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol. A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol. A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol.
A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol building.
A day when a violent mob of pro-Trump protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol in what's been described as the worst attack on American democracy since the Civil
Civil War in what's been described as the worst attack.
A lot of those
on
images
American
aren't even
democracy
from
since
there.
the Civil War.
What's been described as the worst attack on American democracy since the Civil War.
What's been described as the worst attack on American democracy since the Civil War.
It's getting called the worst attack on American democracy since the Civil War.
It's getting called the worst attack on American democracy since the Civil War. What's been
told
described
you.
as the worst attack on American
The
democracy
worst since the Civil War, guys.
What's been described as the
Worst attack on American democracy.
Yeah, with no guns, no weapons.
Pretty amazing.
Since the Civil War. It's been described as the
Insurrection.
worst attack on American democracy since the Civil War. And what's been described as the worst attack on American democracy since the Civil War.
And what's been described as the worst attack on American democracy.
Okay, we get it. Like it goes on, man. Like if you really don't think that the news media is just pushing one narrative, it's so obvious. And the thing is, like, when they started out, like, the deadly attack on, wasn't only one person killed, and it was one of the people that was there. Like, it wasn't, they didn't, like, they were shot by a police officer.
Yeah. Yep.
They're acting like the it was just like I saw an article of, did you hear about that synagogue that was being held hostage?
Yeah, that was in Texas.
In Texas, yeah. So it was a Muslim guy that broke in and was like holding hostage to a Jewish synagogue. But all the news articles, the headline was a man with a British accent. Like, that's how they framed it. Because what's the first thing you think of when you hear a man with a British accent?
A white guy.
A white dude.
Yeah.
So that's the way they framed it to, like, all of the news outlets were framing it. A man with a British accent is holding, you know what I mean? Insane.
Yep.
Insane.
Even Biden said it, I think, that same day.
Did he say?
Not a man with a British accent, but we don't know. We don't have enough information.
Yeah.
Along that line.
Of course.
Like, come on, man.
Wait. Hold up. Donnie, did you say there were weapons? Because nobody had weapons.
There was no weapons,
There were no guns.
Donnie, there was no weapons, bro.
Like, yo, like, you need to really research this for yourself.
An insurrection.
Maybe you're not saying that, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but
there was weapons and guns, he said.
Nah, bro.
Yo,
I don't
James.
know who told you that.
James, shout out to James. James is watching.
What up,
he
James?
said, we are essentially copying each other's parenting style, or at least the modern version of parenting. We think our kids are going to miss out from certain experiences. I don't give them if you don't give them everything. Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah. And me and James talked about this a lot too. Like, and I think what we can do to change that narrative, going back to that a little bit, is the way we raise our kids, so that they don't make those mistakes that we made. You know what I mean? And that they understand that the most important thing is a family and having kids and cultivating that. And, you know.
Yeah. And that affects your community.
And then it just grows outward from there. Yeah.
So back to the January 6th thing.
Yeah. He said it was crazy. You have to admit it was very reckless and foolish. I agree with that.
It's very crazy.
I agree with
and
that.
stupid.
I agree with that. But the reason why they didn't want to go forward with what they were trying to push, was because they didn't want to show the true video behind it, because there were implants going on and they would have been exposed. There were implants in groups.
There was tons of FBI informants and agents involved in that situation. And a lot of them, especially the dude that we played on here, was one of the main provocateurs trying to tell people to go into the building.
Right.
Now, when you watch the video footage of the building, they're literally just walking in there, roaming around like, oh yeah, we're in here. Like idiots that are at a sporting event.
Police,
you know what I mean?
Police officers let them in.
And they still haven't released the 14,000 hours of video.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the story that they ran for days about a police officer getting hit over the head with a fire extinguisher and then dying a few days later was a lie. It never happened. And he died from another reason, which they found out, like it had something to do with his own internal issues. And
that's, people did get pulled into.
They got
it,
pulled into.
So that's
they
definitely
fell for that, and it was dumb
because of their emotions.
And the whole time we were saying that, it's like, why would you go there
Yeah.
and be in the mix with all of that?
But there were so many people who were there that had nothing to do with. Like that was 4%.
Yeah.
Even less.
Yeah.
Of the people who were there.
Right.
You know. So
that
but
actually
they
went into the building.
Right. So but they turned that into something else, and that's all we're saying. Like, yeah, what they did was foolish.
We've showed
dumb.
footage on here of people in black bloc going up to the windows and smashing them out.
And the first one who did it was the dude, I think his name is, Ray Epps whispered in his ear.
Yeah.
And that guy was the Black Lives Matter guy from Utah, I want to say, chapter.
The black dude?
No, I think it was a white dude.
Oh.
But he was the first one to smash the windows.
Remember the black dude that went on CNN?
Yeah.
And then they ended up finding out that he was a Black Lives Matter. He was one of their chapter people too.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole mess, man. It's a whole mess. And what we're speaking to is the fact that this is all being set up to then use it as a catalyst for other things.
It's just it's tactics from a higher power, right? It's literally like what does the devil try to do to us? He tries to get us to join him in something just to accuse us, right? That's what it's about, right? How? Through our emotions. That's that's been the play forever. And then but the issue is people on the other side want to point the finger and accuse too. Like, should they be held accountable? Yeah. But should they trying to go a little far.
Should they be in solitary confinement for 6 months?
Yeah. They're going too far.
Yeah.
They've already gone too far. They're political prisoners.
Right.
They still don't have a trial.
People that didn't commit any acts of violence.
Right.
You know.
And the people who have been charged, none of them got charged with insurrection.
Right.
If it's an insurrection or January 6th insurrection day, why isn't that the charge?
You know why?
Because it wasn't an insurrection.
Because it can't be an insurrection if there's not a coalition of people, right? Yeah. And it's not
the FBI already admitted that there wasn't any organized plot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Like, you need some guns, man.
Yeah.
They weren't really trying to, take over nothing. Like, how are you gonna?
Even if you storm the Capitol, like, okay, you have what's your next step?
Yeah.
You scared a bunch of senators in their office.
Right. George said, but wasn't there a feminist group that did the same thing and you don't hear about that? Yeah. It's absolutely true. When what's his name was getting sworn in. Kavanaugh. When he was getting sworn in. They stormed in there,
all up in
banging
the
on the door.
I didn't know that.
They broke in there. They broke in there and started
that was
banging.
An insurrection.
And they were banging on the chamber doors, screaming and crying and falling out.
Yeah. But,
But, yeah.
That wasn't the narrative.
That's not the narrative.
The narrative is it's insurrection because they need to stop something.
They need to take your rights away. They need reasons to take your rights away.
And they need to turn everybody away from looking at the voter fraud that was going on.
Right.
I don't know why Kavanaugh I'm totally switching the subject right now. I watched Tim Pool today and Veritas dude, James O'Keefe was on there. He was talking about, the diary that he had from
Biden's daughter. Yeah.
He mentioned that in the diary she wrote about, being in the shower with her dad.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was one of the main reasons why, they were trying to get it so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
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 It just reminded me because you were talking about Kavanaugh.
Wow. Yeah, and they got Tim Pool. His show got called it?
Copyright strike?
No. The FBI
swatted. Oh, it got swatted?
It got swatted. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, somebody called him.
Yeah, while they were on air,
while they were live,
Brandon Tatum was actually there, and you kind of see the cop a little bit, coming in, and they said there was mad cops, like just while they're live, asking questions and stuff like that. So somebody called in. Apparently, somebody called in and said somebody's being taken hostage or something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
but they stormed the building.
I just wanted to stay along that narrative for a little bit, just to show you like the news and how they try to just keep you in fear. This was a headline from on January 1st, 2022 from the New York Times.
Every day.
Wow.
Every day is January 6th now. What? So
they want that date to stick in your head.
Yeah, man.
Remember.
Yeah, man.
And also, if they can charge or tie that to Trump, he can't run.
Exactly, and that's what they want to do too. They want to stop him from being able to run again. Yeah, that's one of the main goals. I was going to get into Robert Malone on Joe Rogan. We got a lot of stuff. Robert Malone was on Joe Rogan. He was dropping some heat on there, then got banned from Twitter. And then, remember he was talking about like, he said a term, I think it's in this clip. Let me just.
It has become decoupled from each other and has free-floating anxiety in a sense that things.
This is only a minute and 41 seconds.
From basically European intellectual
So who is this
inquiry
guy,
into.
So Robert Malone is one of the scientists that developed the technology for mRNA vaccines. And he's been on many podcasts just talking about what they're doing with this vaccine and how ineffective it is and how it's wrong, and also talking about the other methods of treatment that they don't want to implement.
And they trash him.
And he's been in every position that you can think of.
Yeah.
As far as
this is an established dude.
Yeah, he's been in the government.
Yeah.
On these boards, he's been.
Yeah, we've had some clips of him on here before.
Yeah, of course.
in Germany in the 20s and 30s.
This goes back to what you were saying, because he's talking about Germany.
Into what the heck happened in Germany in the 20s and 30s. You know, very intelligent, highly educated population, and they went barking mad. And how did that happen? The answer is mass formation psychosis. When you have a society...
So that term right there, mass formation psychosis. He said that on the thing. Just remember that.
That has become decoupled from each other and has free-floating anxiety in a sense that things don't make sense. We can't understand it. And then their attention gets focused by a leader or a series of events on one small point, just like hypnosis. They literally become hypnotized and can be led anywhere. And one of the aspects of that phenomena...
You mean like people begging for vaccines and begging for people... Now people are saying that especially people on the left, are agreeing with unvaxxed people being rounded up by police.
Is the people that they identify as their leaders, the ones typically that come in and say, you have this pain and I can solve it for you. I and I alone. Okay? Can fix this problem for you.
Let me tell you,
okay?
What is
then
that? Do you know what that is?
What?
Antichrist. Literally.
Yeah.
And let me, just go to Revelations real quick. There's a beast that comes out of the sea.
Right.
Right? And if you understand what the sea means, the sea are the people that rage, right? The sea are the amount of people that are in agony, right? And they're raging against in the world, right? And that's what the waves because of the winds. Look at Jesus. The winds, Jesus rebuked, right? But the waves, he said peace to, because he rebukes the spirit. The wind is the spirit,
right?
But he says peace to the people, right? And what's going on is that in a raging time, right, where there's raging waters, that's how a beast can emerge. That's how you can have Hitler come out of that. Because,
or a Pol Pot.
Or a Pol Pot. Because people are in agony in themselves and anxiety. Why? Because they have not been prepared to deal with the things that's going on. Anybody, right. Christians alike, right? So and that's what God does. He prepares us ahead of time through going through things. And a lot of Christians don't want to hear this, but you got to go through things, right? Jesus says, take up your cross. Meaning like the things that happen in your life, people point the finger at what you're doing wrong. But really it's about God is testing you, right? And through your testing, what does he produce? Genuine faith. Not this fake faith, but
Right.
genuine faith. And through that, now you're prepared. He's preparing you, right? So now when the thing comes, you're like, all right, I already have the solution because I've been trusting in the solution, which is Jesus, right? And Jesus became manifest to me, right? So now I have, meaning Jesus, the word, became manifest to me. Wisdom became manifest to me. So now I have that reason who he is, right? In that form, because he literally, the point is that Jesus is the answer for every situation, because every situation comes out of what creation was intended to be, and it's trying to rebel against that, right? So all Jesus is saying, yeah, we just twist it back. All creation has to go back through him. So now he is the answer that it comes back through. But if we're not being that in between, then there's no point.
Right.
So what happens when there's nobody who's standing in the gap, right? There's no in between who's crying out to God, like, show me what to do, right? Now you have the Antichrist.
The beast that raises up from the sea.
And I'm not saying the Antichrist, but what I'm saying is the spirit of Antichrist that rises up. And that literally just has to do with total self-ambition, right? Total selfishness. He just said, I'm your answer, right? But Jesus said, I'm the answer.
Right.
I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life, I'm the reason, all of it. So when we turn towards a man to be our reason and we give it all up.
A lot of people did with Trump.
Right. Exactly. When we do that, what we do is we give up everything that God gives us, right? And every potential thing that he could give us, and then go into bondage to that person or that spirit, whatever. Right. We give it up. Now we're in bondage to a different realm, because you're saying that you don't know how to do it for yourself, right? You don't know how to be responsible for this, so I got to give it to somebody who can. When God is saying, I'm that person, you know? So that just hit me, man. Like, that's what we're dealing with. And so many people don't see it, you know, and then they just give it up, and then they mad at you because you're pointing it out.
Yeah. So
they will follow that person through hell. It doesn't matter whether they lie to him or whatever. The data are irrelevant. And furthermore, anybody who questions that narrative is to be immediately attacked. They are the other. This is central to mass formation psychosis. And this is what has happened. We had all those conditions. If you remember back before 2019, everybody was complaining, the world doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. And we're all isolated from each other. We're all on our little tools. We're not connected socially anymore, except through social media. And then this thing happened, and everybody focused on it. That is how mass formation psychosis happens, and that is what's happened here.
It's the focus.
So he was explaining why we're in this position that we're in. But then immediately after this podcast airs, he gets banned from Twitter. He gets removed from YouTube. Joe Rogan's clips get removed from YouTube. And so Joe Rogan actually leaves Twitter, goes to Getter, and then immediately gets like millions of followers in one day. Tim Pool goes to Getter. He gets like 1 million followers in one day. So then people start going to that app instead of Twitter. But it was funny because right after that, someone posted, let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, here it is right here. So Jack Posobiec posted, he tried to Google mass formation psychosis, and it says, it looks like these results are changing quickly. So it literally looks like the people at Google were quickly trying to edit what people could see when they Google that. You know what I mean? Because he had said a term that a lot of people were Googling. And so then they had to try to get ahead of it. And
4 days ago, when you said the term, I looked it up on Google just to like see.
Yeah.
And 4 days ago from Psychology Today, the headline is, "No, the problem with America isn't mass psychosis." It's literally the article name.
You see? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So like
discredit him.
Yeah.
Like they went on a media attack.
Right. And people who don't really want to take responsibility for their lives will look at it and say, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm good. I'm still good. Right. I just want to be good. you're going to make my life good? All right, good. You know what I mean? When it's really like, no, you're not. Something that somebody was saying, I'm trying to think. Anyway, somebody brought up about like how removed we are from like our generation, right? We're removed from farming.
Yeah.
You know, cultivating our lands, slaughtering animals. You know, most of the time we grew up, a lot of us, you know, there's still a remnant, but we grew up getting meat from the store, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
but think about it, even we're not that far removed generationally because our grandfather had a pig farm. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we've experienced it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we're still removed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
you know?
that's how quick it can happen.
Right. But then this next generation, like, they have no clue
Yeah.
of reality,
Yeah.
right? And the thing is, if things broke down, like if we had like a shutdown of like the
supply
internet
chain?
and I'm saying like
we've been having
an electrical.
Where you can't access the internet.
That's the video Mom sent.
Yeah.
They get rid of the grid.
If the grid was shut down, like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know, how are you gonna eat?
Yeah.
And these things, you know, are we prepared for these things? So it just made me think, like, we think we got it all figured out, you know, but we don't. And that's why we gotta humble ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even at that, I don't know. You know, I don't know.
That's why I've been saying, like, I really want to get into some of that, like having some chickens, having some produce that I can access at any time. You know, I've been working on that, starting it out. I started out last year growing some stuff. I'm gonna just keep working on that, and maybe, you know, get a couple chickens, get some goats. You
Definitely
know?
think about that too. I gotta get a fence.
But
yeah, these are things like we don't think about.
Yeah.
You know, we don't pay attention to, like killing our own animals. You know, and then you start to realize, like, it's a little harder when you got to kill your own animals.
There's a little more honor and respect involved. You know,
but when you're removed from it, it's like,
Yeah.
Like, I tell my kids when they eat like meat, like, this came from an animal that was slaughtered.
Yeah.
So they know, like, this isn't just something that you eat and just think it's just whatever.
You just get it from the store.
The cold box had it.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, let me see what else we got. Before we get to Jake's stuff, I want to play a couple things. Couple little more lighter things before we get to Jake's stuff. So,
you got my clips too?
Yes, and that is one of them I'm gonna play. So this was from New Year's Day, the New Year's Eve celebration with Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper. Did you guys see this? Where
I didn't.
Andy Cohen was drunk and he goes on some rant about Bill de Blasio.
Yeah.
I'll play it real quick.
Don't go on a rant. Don't go on a rant. Victory lap dance. After 4 years of the crappiest term as the mayor of New York, the only thing that Democrats and Republicans can agree on is what a horrible mayor he has been.
Wow.
So, sayonara, sucker.
Wow.
2022. It's a new year. Because guess what? I have a feeling I'm going to be standing right here next year. And you know what?
And Anderson is trying to stop him so much.
Dancing as the city comes apart. You.
Tell us something, Eddie.
Watching.
Yo, he went in on Bill, man. Bill and my black son. Oh, man, so that was funny.
My black son.
Okay.
My black son.
Let's see. Let's go with this right here. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I was...
Let's show this. This is from the Great Libs of TikTok account. I had this since like December, but I never got a chance to show it to you.
Oh, no.
This is mass formation psychosis that we're talking about. When you see, and TikTok, I feel like is a breeding ground for that type of thing. But we've been talking about, you know, like the the pronoun teaching that goes on TikTok. There's I've seen studies where people are talking about how like it's really like it's starting to spread mass mental illness kind of thing. But this one is like takes the cake.
I don't know if I was clear the first time when I said it, so I'll be clear again this time.
Okay.
My gender is
Oh.
and my
Any
pronouns
pronouns?
are I don't know if I was clear the
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, yo, that's you. Like you said, we're gonna do light stuff, but that's serious.
That is serious.
That's
That is serious.
man.
But
Like,
it's funny, but it's serious.
Yes.
Because it's like, yo,
wow.
Okay.
Is he serious?
How dare you?
Yeah. No, it's blah 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 blah. Hello.
He just told you. Oh, my bad.
But no, I think stuff like this, we need to see this because this basically just shows us like, okay, you have issues. You know, no matter who wants to try to act like this is acceptable, you have issues. You know what I mean?
And even all this pronoun stuff, like we're building stuff on like what?
Right.
What foundation? Where they coming out the air with this stuff, and eventually it comes down, or you just go crazy.
Yeah, it's
You
never
just go
ending.
crazy because you're gonna be so. Reality hits you in the face, and you don't know how to take it, so
Right.
you break.
Because you're so used to everyone just pandering and catering to you.
Yeah.
Look, like this right here. I got another one for you. It's ready to learn more?
This is Cypress, and Clown mentioned not having people use clown or clown self pronouns for clown, and so in this situation, I would make sure that I exclusively use clown pronouns to talk about Cypress, so Cypress knows that I see clown self for who clown is, and I want clown to be hearing those pronouns more than the other ones out of my mouth.
Clown pronouns, guys. Clown self, clown pronouns.
I'm confused.
Who's Cypress?
Cypress was I guess, left. No, Cypress was someone who left a comment saying, if you can't see the comment, but it says something like, I prefer certain pronouns, but no one ever uses clown pronouns for me like I would want. So this person did a whole video about why they would use clown and clown self for clown.
Again.
And I don't know if Cypress might have been trolling, bro. Cypress might have been trolling.
Probably. Again, like,
right.
It's a world that we're not, like, it's not even in this world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, she was nice though. He was.
Hey,
clown.
I don't know.
Shout out to Wilmer. It's on here.
Wilmer,
He said,
what's up? Wilmer?
He said, I would drive that thing into heaven. I think he means hell. But,
He said the blood of Jesus.
Donnie said, I was waiting for one thing we agreed on.
And Emma's cracking up.
Emma's cracking up. Wilmer said Cypress Hill rapper. Yeah. Donnie, you could agree on that finally? All right, we got this video John sent us. I didn't even watch it, so we're all going to watch this together at the same time.
It's like a scene out of a disaster movie. Thousands of boxes littering the Union Pacific train tracks in downtown LA. But unlike in Hollywood, these aren't props. They're packages belonging to people from all over the country, from retailers like Amazon and REI. Thieves have been raiding the cargo containers on the trains that stop here to unload for months, leaving behind shredded boxes and things they don't want, like home COVID tests. And LAPD says it won't respond to reports of a train robbery unless Union Pacific asks them for help. These tracks right here were cleaned up just about 30 days ago. And already, as you can see, there are thousands of boxes littering these tracks. In other words, this is a very big problem. We found this package and entered the UPS tracking information. It shows it's in transit and will arrive today. Local law enforcement who work around these tracks tell me they don't see thieves shipping off anytime soon. It's like a scene out of a disaster movie.
The reason why that can happen there is because the trains go so slow to go. I think there's like a bend or something.
Yeah.
I saw that earlier.
Don't they dock at one of those points too? I think I seen that they just dock and then they go on, they cut the lock and then throw the stuff out.
Well, yeah, it goes down. I mean, it goes slow enough that they can get on. It doesn't dock, but it goes slow enough. They get on.
They get on.
They
cut the locks and then just throw all the boxes out.
Yeah, just throw it out.
Yeah,
and then
just rummage through them. Yo, that's crazy.
That, and then they come back.
California is on another level right now, man.
Yeah, bro. This is what I don't think people understand.
LA, right?
Like,
was that LA?
It wasn't in San Diego, that's for sure.
I don't think people understand how quickly we can go into descent because there's so many people who are ready to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
you know, and
as soon as they feel like there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
And in Cali there isn't.
They don't want that COVID test though.
They threw them things on the ground. But somebody ordered that test. Somebody needed it. It's like, where's my COVID test? Gotta go back to work in 5 days.
So it's been a problem. They can't just have some cops or something like that with some guns sitting where where it's like that curve is, the slow curve.
Like they said, they're told not to prosecute this type of stuff.
So what they
what are they going to
go there for?
Yeah. What are they going to do?
Lawless.
It's just like shoplifting in Cali is crazy right now because the limit is what, $1,000. You could shoplift up to $1,000 and not get.
Did we talk about the store owner?
Yeah, we did. He priced everything at $999, and then if you bring it to the front, he'll give you the discount to the regular price. Yeah,
genius.
But these are policies, man.
Yeah, man.
And this is what happens.
And when people try to implement these policies all in the name of, but we're helping people. Yeah. It's like, but what are you really doing? You know, what are we really gonna sacrifice?
Yeah, we putting wise people into positions, and then they start looking like fools that they are.
I see no one wants to jump on the rendezvous link, huh, John? Nobody jumping on there again, guys.
I even tagged James on it to see.
I tried to click on it.
Hey, if you guys want to come jump in on the stream, you can come in right on your phone. I'll post the link up again, and see if you click on that, it'll bring you up to a page. You just come right in. John will bring you into the stream, and then you can talk to us. You could say hi, or you could join in on the conversation, man. So, Wilmer, you know, if you want to get in on this, we about to get in on something serious. First, I gotta thank Moan for providing all those lovely clips, man. You did a great job, dude, for your first time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I respect you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on to what Jake had sent me, and this was the other part of the title of the stream, which is Will Smith and Devon Franklin, right? So Devon, they had a sit down talk together, right?
Yeah, basically an
interview, and
on the movie that they just did. I forget the name of the movie.
He's an actor too.
King Williams, huh?
He's an actor too.
No, he's like a producer, right?
Yeah, he like.
That's how he met Megan Good. Was they were producing a movie or something?
Right.
It was the Williams sisters movie, right? Is that the movie you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's like a pastor. Yeah. / he's in the industry too.
Right. And there were some things that you saw in the interview that you needed to.
Yeah, just
touch
like it's very suspect in terms of how they gloss over things and try to draw you in, and he's doing like Devon Franklin is literally like, see, man, so people think, but you'll see it. Let's just watch it because you'll see how.
Before we get to it though, did y'all see that clip of what's his name, Mike Todd, where he spit and rubbed it on?
Somebody just sent that to me.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Who's Mike Todd?
Mike Todd is that we've played him on here before with some other clips, right? He's a younger black dude. Pastor, you know, he dresses real.
He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, he does.
I think I know you're talking about.
But yeah, he went a little too far.
He went a little too.
But he apologized.
He did. But I thought it was interesting.
So he spit on somebody saying it was holy water or something.
No. No, he was trying to.
He was just
reenacting Jesus with the blind man.
Okay.
But he I guess no one was expecting it, so he just kind of like.
It was a little. When you see it,
was gross.
It was a little like.
Yeah.
Ew.
He spit.
He spit on his hands and then wiped it on the dude's head.
Yeah.
So,
Bro, COVID.
Yeah.
well, that's the point. Like, especially now, like people are gonna roast you for that.
Yeah.
So,
All right, cool.
All right, so but the other thing about Devon Franklin is we know he filed for divorce with Megan Good. There was a lot of controversy going back and forth because the way she had been carrying herself throughout the marriage, people were questioning like, well, what's up? You know what I mean? And he was making a lot of excuses for her, like the way she dressed, the way she acted, stuff she was doing in movies. And I think this new series that she was in, she did a lot of like scandalous stuff that maybe he wasn't okay with.
yeah, I didn't even know. I just saw it on Prime, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, what is this? I had to turn that right off.
For real?
It was horrible.
Wow.
Horrible. Like the stuff that's in it, it's too much. It's too much.
She was doing the series that she did.
That's
the
what series that she's in.
Yeah.
But this, like, she's married to a pastor. You know what I mean? So, but that was for a little context. Let's get into this first video. Hopefully,
Like same feeling I have about.
So the
God.
first video you put was the Joe Rogan clip. What's the significance?
I mean, we can go to that after. You want to just do the?
You put it first in the list, man. We going in order.
Okay. This is like secondary though. I wanna get
Okay,
to
all
the other
right.
stuff.
Let's go to the next clip then.
Like if you live.
Megan and Devon got married in 2012
Wait.
after meeting on the set of Jumping the...
No, that's not next.
No, it should be the interview stuff.
Oh, okay. My bad, dude. Let me see.
A little
rusty.
Oh, there it
So
is.
to make this church, we have to do
the next one.
We're wondering if you
Okay, I'm going in your order now.
I know.
I'm going in your order now. Now you're changing.
I'm changing because y'all did so much.
Okay. All right.
Let's go back.
So this right here, right?
Yes.
Okay. This,
in terms of what you want to put in the world, somebody's
we
gonna
turn that
watch
up a
this
little bit,
film.
please.
How is it that you want someone as a person of
figure out who
faith
was
to
supposed to
connect
put
to the
that.
message in this film?
The simplicity of aligning your will with divine will. You don't have to have fear, and you don't have to have doubt when you're in sync with your faith.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
those things like doubt and fear are in the absence of God and faith.
Exactly. Right? Totally. It's very hard to hold both.
It's hard to hold both.
Right.
Right. You know, so that thing, and when you see this family and you see the amount of love and certainty, even through adversity, it doesn't mean it's not adversity. You know,
Usually
tons
the
of
adversity is the requirement. It's the admission price.
Yes, absolutely.
For the faith, right?
Yes, exactly. You know, I want people to see how they hold to one another and how they hold to their faith. And the dream is almost third. Right?
Yeah.
Their love, their family, and their faith are first. And that's the foundation of everything.
Yes.
And then from that, the flowers of their dreams will bloom.
Listen.
Okay, so these videos are all out of order. I don't.
No, it's jumping to the wrong video.
No, but even that one.
Oh, okay.
How I gave them to you, but it's cool. We'll just. So he's talking about the movie. And the reason why I put that in there is because, right, it kind of when you look at it on the surface, it sounds cool, right? Yeah, faith, doubt, fear, yeah. But where is our faith? What are we putting faith into, right? And you can manifest something because you believe in God, but that doesn't necessarily mean you believe in the character of God because you don't really know who he is. Maybe you got told he's this type of person.
Right.
They're Jehovah's Witness, so I'm just gonna that's something else. They twist the Bible anyway. Right. They even have their own writings.
He's Jehovah's Witness.
No, I'm talking about their family. The Williams the Williams family. They were Jehovah's Witness coming up. So if anybody knows about Jehovah's Witness, I know you do, Moo. They use a different Bible directly to change certain things so it aligns more to their beliefs.
Right.
Right. So And you can believe, anybody can believe whatever they want, but you're gonna manifest the things that you believe,
Right.
regardless. If you have doubt and fear, you're gonna manifest that. That's still really, it's still faith,
Right.
You know, it's just you're having faith in what you fear, you know. But true, genuine faith comes from God. So, and that's where it's like it's kind of muddy in how they're bringing it to you, right? So, just go to the next clip.
Okay.
In terms of what you want to put in the world, somebody's going to watch this film. How is it that you want someone as a person of faith to connect to the message in this film?
Is that the same one?
Yeah.
The simplicity
Damn.
of
We gotta find a way for you to name these or something.
I don't care how
They're
rash,
all
for the
different.
25 years that I have known you, right? Everybody that knows that you played a role in my life in the church, the number one question, they were like, yo, is Will a man of faith? Does he love the Lord? I'm like, yes. Okay, so but I want you to hear from the horse's mouth. Are you a man of faith?
You can't.
Do you love the Lord?
You can't get where I get if you don't love the Lord.
Exactly.
You don't get to sit how I sit and move how I move if you don't love the Lord.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, you'd be seeing a whole lot of other repercussions.
Got it. Okay, good, man. All right, so now that we got that out the way.
Like, you mean like entanglements and your kids and your wife and all the like, come on, what are you talking about?
Sounds like a not a solid foundation there.
Right.
But here's the thing I thought was so amazing. To me, this movie is one of the most faith movies that I've ever seen.
Absolutely. Yep.
There's a scripture that says, faith without works is dead. And faith is the substance of things we hope for and the evidence of things we don't see.
That's beautiful.
This dude didn't know tennis.
Right.
His daughters had never played. He created an 85-page plan on what was going to happen, and he did not veer until it manifested.
I wrote me a 78-page plan for their whole career before they was even born.
The chances of achieving the kind of success that you're talking about, it's just very, very unlikely.
2 years before they were born, Miss Orsine was around here, and we talked about that today. And and that was my question to her. I was like, so when he said that, you said yes. Okay.
But,
I was like, why?
But how do you connect to his faith journey?
Yes. You and I have talked about my relationship with my grandmother.
Yeah, Resurrection Baptist Church.
Resurrection. Exactly. Resurrection Baptist Church. So that concept of faith and that power of faith, I might be going in a little too deep here, but there's a distinction.
Yeah.
All right. So there's faith in God, and then there's knowledge of God.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So there's revelation. Some people have had revelation.
Yes.
Right? So when you have to have faith is before you've had revelation.
Right.
When you don't have to have faith because you know.
Exactly.
Right? So that's what Miss Orsine is. Right?
Megan and Devon got.
All right. So at the beginning of that, you see how he talks about faith.
Yeah.
And then he goes in scriptures. Faith is that. They're talking about faith. That's what you're hearing the whole time. Right? But what are you putting your faith in? And he breaks it down, like, I'm going to go deep. And he says that you have to have faith and then there's revelation. And that's not true.
Right.
Right? And when you know, it's not faith anymore. And that's not true.
Right.
No, it's not faith anymore when the thing manifests.
Yeah.
Right? But again, if our faith isn't on a sure foundation, then it's pointless. We can still manifest stuff, but it's pointless. And let me say this. I watched the movie. I liked it. And there was some good things in there. Like, there's truth in there.
I heard it was good. Yeah.
But because I liked their drive and their heart, there were things that were good. But that doesn't mean it was a faith-based movie in terms of how we equate it to God.
Right.
And how Christians should equate it to God.
And that doesn't mean that this is what God wanted for them.
Right. And And that's the key. He said that at the beginning. He said, you know, I wouldn't have got in this place if it wasn't for if I didn't love God. And that's not true, because many people will say, I'm gonna give it up to God, and they've got there on their own selfish ambitions, right? And in the Bible, it talks about having selfish ambition.
Mom said you will know them by their fruit.
Yeah, and that's the character that it produces. So there was one scripture from this that like I wanted to read, which is pretty simple. It's Mark 34, and it says, "And calling to the crowd, calling the crowd to him with his disciples, and he said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever will lose his life for my sake and the sake of the gospel will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? For what can a man give in return for his soul? For whoever is ashamed of me and of my word is in this adulterous generation." And that's key, because he's saying it's an adulterous generation.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means, you know, you're married, but you're not really married. You're married, but you want to do what you want to do.
Right.
And that's key, because marriage shows how you got to love beyond. And it's really not 2 in marriage, it's 3. Because it says husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
So as a husband, we always have to look to the Lord to even be able to love our wives, right? We always have to have the revelation, and our trust in him, which is faith, right? Causes us to see him. That's revelation.
Right.
And then in faith, love them.
Right.
And then you start to see things start to change, right?
Right.
But that's the process we need to do in everything, because even as Christians, man or woman, we're called to be cultivators, right? In the world, in everything we do. And that's about producing. Mom said it. You'll know them by their fruit, right? So you're producing fruit, and that's about manifestation in the world, right?
Right.
So what you're manifesting is important, because it shows who God is.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are trying to manifest something, but then say it's God. And if you don't have a good example of it, you'll miss it.
Well, we've been taught that, like you were saying earlier, that success equals blessing.
Right.
Success equals you're favored by God.
Right.
You know, when it's completely not true at all. Like when you look at Jesus and what he did, he told everybody to drop everything they're doing and follow him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Leave everything behind.
Right.
And also speaking on, like you touched on how, like when he talked about once you get revelation, there's no more faith because you already know. And, you know, you said that that's wrong. And it's obvious when you look at the Bible, you look at the father of faith that they call him, Abraham, right? He got the revelation that he needed to leave his father's estate and go, and that God was going to give him a son and be a father of many nations.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean that now it all just happened.
Right.
It took his faith to continue in that. Even when he had his son and God told him, now I want you to sacrifice your son.
Right. It took 13 years.
Right.
Like, and then God told him, I'm going to, like, he went to that land, and then God came to him and said, you're going to have a son, right?
Right.
But then what happens? He gets that, but then he lets his wife tell him what that means.
Right.
And then he goes, has a son with the bondservant.
Made a mistake.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's a perversion of what God said, right? It's a revelation and a word from God, right? But what happens is, that doesn't mean that God isn't faithful.
Right.
He's always faithful, right? So even in that, there were 13 years where Abraham was transitioned into trusting God,
right?
Trusting him at his word, not saying, let me figure out what that means, but really saying, okay, you show me what that means. Let me continue to trust you, even when it doesn't feel good,
right?
You know, and there's so many, like, you can go deep with that, through scripture, but we're just going surface. So that's why I brought up that scripture, because the bottom line is that our faith is in following Jesus, right? And following Jesus, you have to see him. That's revelation, right? The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus. And that's where he meets us every time, right? When we first, you don't come to Jesus because somebody convinced you of it, really, right? You could, like,
but it ain't gonna last,
right? That's like people get converted. I don't like the word convert, right? Because it's like somebody converted them. But when somebody sees him, they're open. And for somebody to see him, you have to carry that testimony to them.
Yeah.
You had to see him, right? And then they can see them, and then they can turn to him and turn away from their life, repent, right? Turn away from their life. And then through faith, they can see him again and again and again. So it's this continual growth in him. And what we learn later on down the line is like everything I thought I knew had to die, right? I had to let go of. I had to put it all down. There's a reason why the rich man couldn't give up. Jesus like, follow me, but you got to get rid of what you got.
Yeah.
You know, sell what you got.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do it.
He said, I keep all the commandments. I fast twice a week. Like, what? I do it all.
Yeah,
you know, and he said, no, you don't. Sell all your possessions.
Yeah. And he couldn't do it because of his heart.
Yeah.
Where was his heart at? So my point in this is sounds good, right? What they're saying sounds good, right? Both of them sounds good. Like this guy is trying to be an advocate for Will Smith, Devon Franklin, and it's not genuine, right? It sounds good if you look surface. And this is why Christians have to know the meaning behind the words of God. And that's spirit.
Because we keep getting pulled into these type of ways of thinking.
Yeah. All they got to do is say the right words.
Real quick, Emma asked, can revelation come without faith?
Yeah. Revelation can come without faith.
Yeah.
Revelation can come without faith because the spirit of prophecy, which is the Holy Spirit, is poured out on all flesh, right? People who aren't saved will have dreams.
They get revelation
right?
sometimes.
They'll have. Well, you know
were
what?
just talking about that.
Let me say this: they won't get revelation because they'll get a dream or a vision, but they won't understand it. That's revelation.
Right.
Revelation is for the believer. But I'm just saying, like, it can pour out on everybody, and that's the spirit of prophecy towards people because God loves them. But in order for them to understand it, it has to be sent by somebody who has his testimony. See, that's why Joseph had to tell the Pharaoh what his dream meant. Right?
That's funny because Wilmer just said, yeah, Pharaoh had a dream.
Right. Right. So the dreams are connected to, you need somebody who knows God, right?
He said Nebuchadnezzar had a dream too, yeah.
Yeah.
But he couldn't interpret it.
And look, Daniel came, right?
Yeah, he needed Daniel.
So it's always somebody who is intimate with God, somebody who knows God, who has the testimony of him, is going to reveal the things, right? Through faith, right? But then you see him. See, it wasn't, Nebuchadnezzar saw God, but he didn't see God. He saw God through Daniel, right? Even later on, like, it was Daniel's testing. The people saw God for who he really was, right? That's revelation. But it always comes from that encounter. And you can have an encounter with God through people.
Yeah.
You know, you can have an encounter with God through people, and that brings revelation to your life. Because once you see, he's revealed to you. And then that's what causes you to turn, right? Because if you have a dream, like, you can have a dream that's from God, but if you don't know what it is, you're like, you know, you're seeking somebody, but that's not going to change you, right? It might scare you, but it's not going to change you. But when you get the revelation behind it, now you get changed, you know?
Yeah. Gina. Hey, Gina. Mozzie said, love your words always. Have a great night. Love you guys. Miss you too. We miss you too.
Yo, you guys actually got a Twitch message.
Yeah?
It says, what is God?
What is God?
What is God? Read the Bible. God.
I mean, simply, God is the creator of everything that you know. God is the ultimate force behind everything that gives you life.
Right. That's why I said read the Bible, because it tells you in the beginning of it, Genesis. In the beginning was God.
Yeah.
Right. And John 1, in the beginning was God. The Word was God, right?
Yeah.
And the Word was with God. So, and the Word became flesh.
Yeah.
So Jesus was God made flesh so that we could see who God was and have an experience with him personally, right? And he humbled himself because God loved us, and we kept getting it wrong, trying to figure out who God was, right? Because think about it. If we're in a three-dimensional world, how can we comprehend a four-dimensional existence? It's impossible.
It's impossible.
That's like somebody trying to comprehend like a two-dimensional world.
Yeah.
They're not going to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody in a two-dimensional world trying to understand a three-dimensional world. It's a whole different realm. It's a whole different ball game that there's no way you can understand it. So he came from that dimension into this realm to bring revelation. That's why when he spoke, most people didn't get it. His own disciples didn't get it until there was a time later on where he explained it all to them. He would take them by himself and they would ask, and then he would explain things to them. And even then, sometimes they wouldn't get it, right? But eventually they did.
Wilmer said, God is governor of divine, G-O-D.
I like that. Governor of divine. That's good. Yeah, and that's another thing he said. If Will Smith said the divine, right? And he said, but you can, God made the angels divine, or these, I don't even like saying angels because they're not angels, they're divine beings, right? They're divine beings, but some of those divine beings left from serving God, left where they were created beings, right? By God.
Right.
But they turned around and they said, we're going to
follow our
rule
own
over men. We're
ambition,
right, follow our own hearts.
Yeah.
So when you say divine, like that's, you can be
It's
talking about
vague.
these divine beings.
It's vague.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can give yourself over to these divine beings, and they can give you wisdom and knowledge, and then you can rule in areas, right? Because what rules? Powers, principalities, and high places.
And who do they want as rulers? They want people that are going to have influence over the masses.
Right.
And cause them all to want to worship the same thing you worship.
Right. And that's called serpent wisdom, right? That's a twisted serpent's wisdom. And what I mean is, so our place of authority, I guess you could say, one of our places is the music industry, right? And in the music industry, people have gotten there by the wisdom of the world, I'll say, right? That serpent type of wisdom. But God says to believers, be wise as serpents, gentle as doves.
Yeah.
See, that's wisdom coupled with love, right? So God teaches us his love through our process of faith, because at first we're used to the wisdom of this world, right? So we're looking like, okay, we want to do this. God, like at the beginning, I know for me, God said he gives us a prophecy, a vision, a dream, right? And he tells you, I'm going to do this with your life. But we, from our fleshly perspective, meaning our worldly perspective of seeing it, from this three-dimensional perspective of how we've been seeing things, we take that down into that perspective and then we mess it up.
Right.
But through it, like children, he teaches us how to grow in spirit, right? In that fourth dimensional perspective, right? We grow there, and that's the continuation of faith. So going back to what I said, there's many people who have gotten to the places they've gotten to by the wisdom of this world, which is serpent wisdom, right? And the only way that they'll be taken out is not by you being mad because of all the scheming things they do. Because when you get into it, it's not a fair game. And people they play by their own rules, right? Just to get selfish ambition. They want to get to the places and the heights that they need to be. So in order to do that, you got to learn how to trust in the beings, these powers, principalities that rule in these high
established
places.
these,
They've established
these things, these systems.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
we talk about it all the time. You always hear it like, "Oh, the music business is ruthless." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta,
but it's funny because if you stay there, you just become a victim to it.
Right.
And then you'll probably quit.
Or you perpetuate it.
Right.
You know, you become you give yourself over to it.
Yeah.
You know,
because it starts to make sense. Oh, this is the only way. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I know for us, in our frustration of seeing all this, what happened? We had to trust God more.
Mm-hmm.
We had to trust him more, and he developed us in his wisdom to be able to handle the things that we couldn't handle before,
Right.
to be able to combat the things that we couldn't combat before through faith.
Right.
Right.
And we're still learning.
Right. And that's faith, revelation,
Right.
revelation, faith, revelation, and through the process of it, it turns into wisdom. So you gain in that way. But so many people, we don't know how the world works. We don't know. But these people who have gained access and want to stay in power, a lot of them have given themselves over. Not all of them, but a lot of them have given themselves over.
But once
to that.
you gain that power, then you'll do anything you can to hold on to it. You know,
right?
Which is like a
Right.
Fauci.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Right. And then you'll manipulate
Right.
the word of God.
Mhm.
Especially a lot of black people who've grown up in the church. Like Will Smith. Like
Right.
he said, he grew up in the church, his grandmom's church. Somebody else I heard the other day was the comedian. Wears the suits.
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah, on Ruslan's page.
Yeah, Steve Harvey said something. He was like giving I don't know if it was at a church or whatever, but
He was talking about James, where he said like his favorite scripture is you have not because you ask not.
Right.
You know, but he just left it at that. and
Right.
Totally left out of context and saying like you just have to ask God for what you want, and you'll be rich if you ask God to be rich.
Yeah, basically, and people see things because they did it this way, so it works.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not wisdom. And it says in the Bible that all things will be tested in a fire.
Mhm.
So even if you live your life and it sounds like it works, but you die and you'll
Right.
find out. But the next generation will find out,
Right.
right? It's not going to stand if it's not truth,
Right.
if it's not the real thing. And that's the point. Eventually it falls to the ground. Like we look and like, how are these people successful
Yeah.
if they're not trusting in God really? No, they're trusting in themselves, but God is patient
Yep.
with people. God loves people. So he's not just going to take them out. He's waiting for them to see him in the way he wants them. He wants them to see him,
Right.
you know, his way. And he's so good and so faithful that he waits on people. So that because he doesn't want to destroy nobody.
Right.
He doesn't want to take people to nothing. You know, if people can just shift, now they can turn everything they did, even though they realize I did it in vain. Now they can turn it to his name, his
Yeah.
character, right? And then it's useful. But it's not. It's all in vain if we do it. We can add God to it, and that's what I'm saying with Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
With
We try to mix it in and make it line up with God in some way that we've manipulated ourselves to believe.
right, and that's the way of our flesh or our our three-dimensional state, right?
Yeah.
That we're fighting against.
Right.
And if you look at the beginning of the Bible, there's a Genesis 1 man and a Genesis 2 man. The Genesis 1 man was created in spirit. The Genesis 2 man was created in flesh, right? So we were first created in spirit, right? We were made to dwell in both places, but we were meant to dwell in the heavenlies. That's the
Right.
fourth dimensional realm. So God, when Jesus came, he came to set us back to that place, right? But we got to learn it.
Right.
We've grown up our whole lives in this three-dimensional realm.
Well, it's generations and generations of being in this three-dimensional realm,
Right.
that we have to try to figure out or be broken of that mindset. You know?
Right. So it takes time. And that's why we become children again, right?
Yeah.
You're born again. You got to start all over
Right.
because you're born in the spirit.
Right.
You're born in that four-dimensional world again, right? So now we got to learn how to work in that area in that place.
Good stuff, man. All right, we well over 2 hours, so we're gonna wrap it up there, man. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good stuff, man. We appreciate everybody watching, man. I see Donnie ain't have much to. Oh, he finally chimed in. Glad that he waited and still waiting on me. Glory, yes, sir, and he always will. We got a song about that. I'll be waiting.
Yo, we did get somebody on the rendezvous. I didn't notice it. I'm sorry.
Who was it?
Navarro.
Oh, Wilmer.
That was Wilmer. See? Bring him in. Is he on there now?
Hold on.
You can say hi to him.
It doesn't show the window. It just showed it like a little notch on the
Oh,
head. And I had
okay.
it in the corner, so I couldn't see it.
Okay.
Right, let me
Wilmer, if you're still on there, we'll bring you in just to say hi real quick.
His screen is black, so maybe he's not on.
Are you still on there, Wilmer? Oh, Darnell said good stuff, bros. Appreciate you, Darnell. Hey, man.
He's on.
Yo, what's up? We can hear you, but we can't see you right now.
1 second.
Hold on. Oh, he's bringing you up. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute
since we did this. So he's gonna get it. But we can hear you. So what's up, bro?
It comes from God. And many times God uses that to speak to us.
Turn the audio off on the actual video. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So
See if they can hear now.
All right, talk now.
Can you hear me now?
Can you guys hear him now? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear him now.
Let me know if you can hear me.
Donnie's got jokes. See, this is why I need to make it.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly, Donnie.
That's right, Donnie.
We
says
trying to tell y'all.
No audio at all.
No audio.
Can you hear me now? Nothing?
Oh, wait. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we hear you.
We're good.
Yeah. So God would use, I don't know if they heard anything I said.
Probably not. Probably not.
But God many times will use a dream to speak to you because in the natural you're so busy. Nebuchadnezzar was so busy he wanted to be worshipped by the Israelites and everything. He wanted to be worshipped at all times. But God used a dream. He spoke through a mystery and he used somebody in Daniel chapter 1 where the Bible says that Daniel had the ability to understand dreams and visions. So Daniel was the one that God chose to interpret the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. But another thing that Jacob was sharing about was about the humility of a child. Jesus said that he hid this from the wise and the prudent, and he revealed it to the babes, the children. Because children have an ability to absorb information that's given to them. They're able to absorb what's given to them, and in a way that they believe what's being taught to them. That's what God wants us to be. We be to a point that we believe him. Whatever he tells us he's going to do for us, we believe him.
Right. You tell your kids anything you tell your kids. For those of us that have children, your kids hang on every word you say. They believe everything you tell them. They believe it like it's concrete. You know what I mean? So that's what Wilmer is speaking like. That's how God wants us to be with him. You know,
to believe him. Like, you know, if he tells you he's gonna provide for you, he's gonna open up a door for you, he's gonna do that. But you have to trust him in the right timing for that. But in the meantime, you prepare yourself for that opportunity that's coming forth. Because your gift makes room before great men, but it's a skill. The Bible says that David played skillfully unto the Lord. David was a skilled player that brought him before the king to deliver the king, Saul, from the spirit that was oppressing him.
And that's
so
wisdom.
David prepared himself wisdom, because it was just not the knowledge, but it was the application of the knowledge, which was the wisdom. So it goes back to that. But yeah, faith. You can have revelation. It's the revealing of a thing. It's the opening up of a thing. It's what's hidden behind the veil. And God will use many times things to, like I said earlier, and I wrote there, I said that nobody knows the Father unless the Son reveals it to them. Because Philip wanted to see the Father. He said, show us the Father. And he said, how long have I been with you? You still have not recognized who I am. If you see me, you see the Father.
Yeah.
So we're created in his image and his likeness. So we reflect that sonship because we're creating his image, his likeness, his representation, and his reflection. So it's a go ahead.
So let me ask, so if somebody calls himself a Christian, but they don't read the Bible, right? They don't pray. They just have faith. Is that real faith? You know, and how spiritual or fourth dimensional can they really be?
They can have a faith on a thing, but it doesn't mean it's faith in the resurrection of Christ, the dying of Christ, and the resurrection of Christ, and the shedding of the blood for the remission of sins. So there's more than just that, because the disciples that follow the example of Jesus. You know, they call them those of the way. They follow an example. That's why they asked Jesus, teach us to pray. You know, because they saw something that he had that they wanted to learn about. So you can have a faith in a thing, but that doesn't mean that it's actual faith, because our faith is based on the resurrection of Christ, but also the death and the burial of Christ. That he came as man, but he was fully God, but fully man. And he came to die for all humanity. He shed his blood for us because he loved us. And he died for us while we were still sinners. So you cannot say that God doesn't love a sinner, because he does.
Right. I mean,
you know, and we're all sinners. We're all sinners. That's why we need a savior. Go ahead.
But even the evidence of that he loves us is he gave a dream to Nebuchadnezzar, right?
Yes.
He gave a dream to the Pharaoh that really was the ruler of the world at that time, to cover the world. So that's how much God loves us. You know, he'll do it. He'll give you a dream and you're not even a believer.
Right.
You know, and then he'll send you somebody who can interpret that dream for you.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah. Thank you, Wilmer, man. We're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you.
One last thing.
Okay.
Yeah, just one last thing about what he said. God, this is going to bless somebody tonight. God looks for the way to communicate to you. Are you listening? That's all I had to say. He's always speaking. Are you listening?
Are you listening? I like that. Yeah. Appreciate you.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for chiming in, man.
Thank you for having me on for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Well, next time, jump on earlier. We was waiting for you.
Yeah.
Unless we got anybody else queued up over there, then we're going to wrap it up. All right.
I'm disconnected.
All right. Thank you, Wilmer. All right, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you who have been watching. It's been a good stream. We went through a lot of stuff. Just, you know, keep us in prayer. You know, let's all just keep trying to build this community and keep trying to, you know, talking about this real stuff that we need to get out there. You know, even though those that don't agree, Donnie, you know, we can.
If we don't agree, that's why we come together. See, we cannot agree, but the ultimate hope, like, that doesn't defer us. Like, we don't say, like, oh, I don't agree with you, I don't want to talk to you. No, I don't agree with you, but I got hope in God. And maybe he'll change my heart. Maybe he'll change yours.
Heart.
But, and I'm humble enough to, you know, so that's what
maybe
keeps
you
us
have
together.
something to offer. Maybe, or something I can offer you. Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, meanwhile, in the meantime, in between time, Mom said, awesome. Love you guys. Love you too, Mom. Make sure you guys share the video, please. Just share it. Help us out. Also, shout outs. Thank you to the people on Twitch who actually tuned in. We had a question on Twitch. That's what's up.
Hey, we got one new follower on Twitch.
One new follower. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Let's go, baby.
What is that Twitch?
But yeah, also don't forget, if you want to become a member, if you want to help, join in on the kingdom, we're gonna be sharing a lot more stuff like this. And then Jake and Wilmer actually do a stream. What do you do, like once a month?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can do it this Friday, so I'll just shout that out.
Yeah.
I might not be able to do it, but I'm trying to get it this Friday. I'm gonna post it in the Young Lion chat. You gotta help me with the Jatan. But yeah, so we might be doing something this Friday, and what we do is we just speak. If you like hearing about God and revelation, that's what we're gonna talk about.
They go way more in depth than what we do here. This is more light and more surface, but we kind of we touch on things. But Jake and Wilmer go really in depth with stuff, and then we're gonna continue. We're still gonna planning on going more in depth with more teachings from Jake on the Patreon. And also we trying to convince Moan to get back to his he's supposed to be doing some workout stuff on the Patreon. Him and Stan, they're gonna bring that content for the health and wellness part of the Young Lion community, the pride of the Young Lions.
Yes, because health is important.
Health is important, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a lot of stuff planned. We're gonna really get on it this year, man. 2022 is the year of devotion. So we're going to be devoted to this, guys. We're going to be devoted to you guys. We're going to be devoted to building this community up. Don't forget.
More than anything, we're going to be devoted to
God.
The Lord. The Lord.
Go to the Patreon if you want to become a member. Patreon.com/YoungLionTV. You see it at the bottom of the screen there. You can always sign up on there. And all of that stuff that people have donated, all the Patreon members, we appreciate each and every one of you. And all that stuff just goes to us helping trying to build this thing out. We have plans for a new studio location probably. And we're also gonna start doing more content, more stuff. So and then eventually we can pay everybody for their time. That would be wonderful. So if we can get some Patreon members, that would be great. And also the Cash App. Cash App is $Young Lion TV. You can find us on there. Just throw a quick donation. Throw some meat to the lions on there. And Jatan.com if you want to get merch and music. Don't forget about all that stuff. Become a member. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because we don't know how long Facebook's going to let us do this. So we're trying to be on as many platforms as we can. I set up a Rumble, so we're going to try to. Nice. We're going to try to. Can you go live on Rumble?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, either way, we're going to try. So. We're going to try. We're going to try to implement that as well. And then we have a TikTok now, so we're going to try to put some small clips on TikTok. If you want to follow Young Lion TV on TikTok, we're going to put some clips up. But yeah, that's it, man. We appreciate you guys. God bless, and we're out of here.
Young Lion, go live, yeah. Young Lion, you rich, yeah. This kingdom has room, yeah.